Hello everybody, this is the week 4 Thursday update, and this picture has nothing to do with the update, but I know 20 to 30 of these of you aren't watching videos, so I'm trying different pictures in the thumbnails and maybe we'll trick them into watching the video. But for those of you who have been watching, which is the majority of the class, keep it up, good work. And for you, I will tell you this, that's actually one of the first times Colin and I went out for a meal on our own. Which was pretty cool. So, today, I will connect it this way though. We're going to talk about your discussions, which are going great. Just a couple things that I want you to start thinking of as you're doing them. And then I'm going to talk a little bit more about the paper to give you a little fuller description of what I mean by what it means to be human. Right? Because it's actually so big that I think sometimes we can get lost in how big it is as opposed to breaking it down into something small and go, oh, it can be as simple as, right, how people handle stress. Well, I get that. I can understand that. Okay, but first, the discussions. Now, when it comes to discussions, I want you to start working on your titles, and in this case, the subject line, right? So here's a nice, safe place to play around with different titles, and there's nothing to lose, right? And what I mean by playing around is there are direct titles, which a lot of people used, and this perfectly makes sense in the poking around, right? I'm looking into autism, or, you name it. That's a direct title, tells you exactly what's going on. Super helpful for the poking around category. There's also an indirect title, right? Which is more of a mystery and you don't understand it till you read it, right? So I'll give you switching gears. If you look at the movie Titanic, right? Well, Titanic in the title, pretty direct, right? If we wanted to make it more direct, it would be the Titanic is going to hit an iceberg. You know what I mean? But direct just says what's going on, right? And then if you wanted to have an indirect title, you could be something like, the title might be, what's that up ahead? Or, well, you get the idea, right? It's something that you won't know until you see it. Now, how this is going to help us all, right, and make things interesting is when I had to post what makes a good reader. I have not talked about titles, so everybody who put what makes a good reader, that is fine, right? Because no problems. But check this out. Look at this. How can you differentiate, right, anybody's post from the title? You can't, right? We can't see your personality. We don't know where you're going with it. We all know, right, that this is a post about what makes a good reader. So why not, right, going forward, maybe you put in one of those things that makes a good reader, right? But in any event, if your title could be the same title that 25 other people are using, right, it's not as original as it could be. So I want you to, in the titles, start trying to say, okay, what would be a unique title for my post? And again, this is safe, free practice, right? Because I don't have a grade for is your title awesome in your discussions, right? But I will be looking at your titles, right? And moving forward, if they could be everybody else's title, I might be making a note here and saying, hey, I want you to try a new title. And if I do say that, I do want you to go back, right, edit it and put in a new title. Now, one of the fun things that you can do, right, is try different types of titles and see over time, does one type of title get more attention than others? And most likely it will, right? Because if we're looking through, 25 different posts, right, that's a lot to look at. And what is the first thing we're going to see? Our titles. If they're all the same, I'm just going to pick one and see what happens. But if they have unique titles, now I can pick one that at least I am already interested in because of the title. So, going forward, I want you to start in that subject line, come up with a creative title that could be direct, that gives some part of your answer, or could be indirect. We won't understand it until we've read your post. And the idea with that one is you create some mystery, so we want to read it. Now, another thing that you can use. So in the poking around, and you can see this is some really nice direct titles. And this is great because now we can go right to where we want. there is a function up here. You can see it, that there's a search. Now say you don't remember who did it, or there was some piece that you want to go back and look for. You can use the search so you don't have to open up 20 different posts, right? And so, for example, say poking around, I was actually, let's see if anybody's interested in pirates. Oh man, nobody's interested in pirates. I'm interested in pirates, but it didn't make my top 2 list, right? So, okay, nobody's talking about that. What about health? Oh, look at that. There's a bunch on health. So as you are using the discussion, you can use the search, right? Maybe you're interested in something, put in that title, see if somebody else has used it. So in this sense, it's our own little Google for each discussion. You can see, did anybody talk about this in the discussion? So it's a nice little function that you might only need to use it twice this semester, but it's nice to know that it's there and you can use it. The other thing is, I'm going to do it like I'm making a post here, and so very direct title, and that will remind me to delete it, right? And so, right, here I say something interesting. Now, I can attach documents here, and I've actually done this for a couple of people. So I can add an attachment, right? Go to upload, and then anything I've saved, I can add an attachment to it. So this is how, right? I'm sure many of you have already done this to add your pictures, etc. So there is the adding the attachment. You can also use an insert link. What you've noticed if you've tried to put a link into the discussion, a lot of times it will break it off after I think it's an equal sign, which means your link doesn't work. So if you want to put a link in, the best thing to do, right, is go to link, URL, and then you just cut and paste whatever that right website is, right? You can give it a title, and then it's going to put it right in here. So this would actually take you back right to this page that we're on. So that's how you can use a link, right? Photo self-explanatory. Here is nice where you can actually embed. So if you go to YouTube, all kinds of ways, but this embed code gives you this space. Hold on one second. Okay, say for example that you thought it was incredibly important for everybody to hear William Shatner's song Has Been, right? And you want them to hear it. So for embed, you go to share, right? And this will give you the link. But if you go to embed, it's going to give you this code. And you just highlight the whole thing and copy it. Then when you come back to the post, put in the embed code. Right, and there it is. You actually have that in there. And you know what? Let's just say William Shatner sings Just Because. There we go. I'll leave it in there. So that is how you can use embed, the search function, and also I want you to look at your titles. Right? Post. Anybody not watching this video will be going, what the heck is going on? But, okay. Now to the paper. When it comes to the paper, which you are not writing this week, when it comes to the paper, when I say, what's it say about humanity? What's it say about being human? Being human covers everything from conception to death, right? Repeated again and again and again, because they're your folks being conceived, living, having you, dying, you being, and so that's just this keep ongoing process. So all of that. How do we live? How do we think? How does the way we think shape the way we live? Right? How do our beliefs shape how we act? Right? love, betrayal, loyalty, raising children, right? Defiant children, lousy parents, great parents, great grandparents, lousy grandparents, anything, right? How we interact with animals. I mean, if it's something that we humans experience in our lifetime, that is a piece of our humanity. So that goes everywhere from art to war, right? You name it. Now, you have to, for this paper, right, look into what the stories say about being human. So not my view, not your view. What's the view expressed in the story? So I hope that helps. And remember, for this week, it's just doing the handout, which will get you starting thinking, and then we'll use the handout to make sure you're on the right track before you start turning that into a potential paper. That has been the Thursday update. Keep at it, everybody, and I will be back on Monday with some more videos.